his image as he is, so are we in this world. So, yes, this is the day the Lord has made, but it's also the day that we're making. So, we use our agreement and our intention and our vision and our words and our thoughts. And we go ahead and settle into the beauty of this day. This day is filled with miracles. This day is filled with possibilities. We're glad to be alive. We're grateful. David said, enter his gates with thanksgiving in your heart. So think about all that you have to be grateful for. We're alive. We're well. This month, we're going to be talking about, behold, I make all things new. And so we're going to be talking about newness and recreation and renewal and restoration. And even before I speak the words in the teaching today, it's already in the atmosphere. The revelation is already here. The agreement is already here. Our hearts are already connected. Spirit of the living God, the same spirit that hovered over the creation and vibrated with the words, let there be light. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead, that living Zoe, is in all of us today. Because he lives, we are alive, and we are alive forever. Energy, there's happiness, there's joy. It's already been worth our while to be here just for the few minutes that we've been laughing and talking and seeing each other. It's already a good day. We're already healthier just being in this positive environment, eating from the tree of life. God is in the midst of his people today. We thank you, Lord. Thank you for what you've given us. Thank you for what we're able to create. Thank you for your spirit that indwells us. Thank you for that vibrational word when you said, let us create people in our image and let them have dominion. We still feel it. It's vibrating in every cell of our body today. God is alive. We are alive. And this is going to be an amazing, already is an amazing day. Let's give God a shout of praise in this place. Beautiful. Run that. Remain standing, please.
Good morning and welcome to Metron. Metron is measure or sphere of influence, and we want to help you find your Metron through motivation, enlightenment, transcendence, renewal, outreach, and network. Today is your day to find your Metron.
Good morning and welcome. You look beautiful and delicious and wonderful and skinny and happy and smart and intelligent and every good and perfect thing. It's all, whatever you're doing, it's totally working. You especially, Leona. Leona's taking a lot of it today. She's like way too cute. It's a great day. We've got a lot of good things to share, but I want to go ahead and get into our October theme. My teaching this month is the words from Revelation 21:5. Behold, I make all things new. The subtitle is creating new realities by changing present energy, and so you're gonna really love it. And you already know it. You have no need that any man should teach you, but I'm going to help educate you. I'm going to help draw it out of you and bring it up out of your spirit. She's been taking care of some family members for a minute, and she's like real happy to be back today. I told her I was going to kill the fatted calf. She said, well, where's my ring? So I said, it's still at the jeweler's. We'll get back with him. But our artist this month is someone who I've just recently connected with her music, and she's one of us. She's our kind, because I've listened to some of her jazz stuff and I've listened to some of her worship stuff, and she flows in and out of that, which I love that, because I don't really think there's a difference between the secular and the sacred. It's all of your gifting, all of it comes from God. And I was telling her one of the tracks of one of her albums, it's like the name of it is Da Dot and Da, and it's got a little da dot and da. And this is when you know it's a good song, when you listen to it and then you're in the car later going Da 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 da. And she didn't bring that track this morning, but she's got some other good stuff for us. We have a mutual friend, y'all know Byron Soul. He is the one that connected me with her, so she's worked out in her very busy schedule to be with us all month. So we're very excited. She lives here now, but she is originally from Chi-Town. So if any of you that are from Chicago, she might be your cousin. You don't know. But would you please welcome with me Shantae Can. Shantae, come sing for us this morning.
Good morning, everyone. It's definitely my pleasure to be here with you all. Yeah, as he said, a mutual friend, Brian Sowell, connected us, and I'm just glad to be here. The music I'm going to do today is just some encouraging tunes. This first one is called Free Your Dreams. If anybody is in the music scene, you may have heard of a group called Snarky Puppy. They actually just won a Grammy last year. And I was so blessed to be able to work with them on this song. So this is called Free Your Dreams. Can I get a little more vocal up front, please? They said, turn it up, turn it up. Check one, check two. All right, here we go. I'm ready to live this thing called life. I'm taking it one day at a time. Won't let the bad moments change my mind. I'm freeing my dreams from deep inside. And I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm just trying to use what I got. And over time you'll see that I may get a little bit weak, but it don't mean that I still don't have a dream. So I said, reach up and touch the sky and fly high, and jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Just look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. So wake up and free your dreams into reality. Said, I'm taking each moment as if it's my last. Don't wanna rush my lessons, no. Oh, I'm embracing my future, learning from my past. I'm counting all my blessings, oh, 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 and I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm just trying to use what I got. And over time, you'll see that I may get a little bit weak, but it don't mean that I still don't have a dream, yeah. So I said, reach up and touch the sky and fly high, yeah. Jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. Just wake up and free your dreams into reality. So I said, reach up the sky and fly, yeah. Jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. Just wake up and free your dreams into reality. So this part says, free your dreams. Can you sing that with me? Free your dreams. Y'all sound so lovely, yeah. Free your dreams. One more time, just open. Free your dreams. Yeah. So I said, reach up and touch the sky and fly high. Jump up and kiss the sun. You've already won. Just look up and don't look back. You're on the right track. Just wake up and free your dreams into reality. or free your dreams. You believe to free your dreams. All you gotta do is look inside. You can do it free your world. Just open up your heart and free your dreams. All you gotta do is, yeah, spread in front of you. Say, ba-do-wah. So I'ma say, ba-do-wah. Ba-do-wah. Yeah. Ba-do-wah. Free your dreams one more time with me, y'all. Free your dreams.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all, for singing with me.
Awesome.
You guys sound wonderfully refreshed this morning. Who needs background singers when you have a whole audience?
That's awesome.
This next tune is what I call my friendship song. You can look at it kind of two ways. When I wrote it, I kind of felt God singing this over me. But it can come from your heart to a friend or to somebody that's close to you. But the words say, I'll be right there. I'll be right there whenever you need. You guys can relax if you like to. Right there to take pain away. I'll be right there whenever you need me. I'll be right there to take pain away. Feeling like you can't go on and life's got the best of you. Hurt your heart. You're waking up with the same headache that you went to sleep with yesterday. You think there's nothing left to say, but there is. So I'm gonna tell you that I'll be right there whenever you need me. I'll be right there to take the pain away. I'll be right there whenever you need me. I'll be right there to take the pain away. Said, feeling like you can't go on and life's got the best of you. Like you can't be strong and it hurts your heart. Waking up with the same headache you went to sleep with yesterday. Think there's nothing left to say, but there is. So I'm gonna tell you why. Said I'll be there whenever you need me. Oh, said I'll be right there. Oh, whenever you need me, I'll to take the pain away, to take the pain away, to take the pain away, to take the pain away. Oh, to take the pain away. Said I'll be right there to take pain. Whenever you need me, I'll to take pain. You don't have to search no further, no. To take I'm just, I'm just there waiting. Said he'll be right there to take the pain away. He'll be right there to take the pain away. Oh, whenever you need a friend, he'll be right there. No, no fear, it'll be right here. Oh, say it out, yeah. Ain't no need worrying what tomorrow's gonna bring. Oh, it'll be all over in the morning. Said you don't have to worry, no, what the end is gonna be. Yeah, it'll be all over in the morning. Hey.
Yeah.
God bless you guys.
Beautiful. Love it. Shante Ken. Yes. Shante, that's beautiful. We love you. Did you bring product, or are you gonna do that this month? Uh, okay. All right. But before the end of the month, be sure you get some of her stuff. Okay. Awesome. 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 Once again, tell her we loved it. You may be seated. That's what a real psalmist does. Is a psalmist creates an atmosphere. That's why, in the Psalms, Saul was crazy until David would come and play the music, and then he would settle down, and it would really change the energy, which is what I'm talking about this month. So we're glad to have our first artist of the month who's with us in the house. In between, she's in the middle of the tour right now, and Miss Chandra Corelli and her awesome husband Larry, who I saw your radio interview was awesome, and always glad to have Agape with us. Um, the play that Chandra's in isn't in Atlanta, but it's like everywhere else. We're going to come up on I think the 24th. You're going to be in Chattanooga, so we're going to come up that night and see it. Maybe another road trip. Who knows? Don't let me get out of here today before I tell you about I can tell you now. Our first of all, our outreach of the month is Atlanta Pride. We already paid for a booth there a few months ago, so we're going to let that be our outreach. This will be I think, third year maybe I've had a booth there, and it's been a very positive experience. If you've never been there, you might have these urban legends about what you think it is. It's not that at all. It's a very nice day in the park, and there's families there, and it's kid friendly. And yeah, you'll see a couple of guys in Speedos. You'll see a couple of guys that should not be in Speedos, but it will not be. It is what it is. Don't overreact. But for the most part, it's like it's a festival, and it's like people get together and exchange ideas and that sort of thing. And so I'm going to be there. The booth is General Swilly Ministries, but we're going to be advertising Metron. I'm going to have some stuff printed up this week. I'm also going to make a table available for any of you that either have a business or a ministry or whatever that improves people's lives. I think we're going to call that table "Living Your Best Life." I think y'all are going to do an isogenics thing and whatever. It's open to you. Let Avery know if you're interested, and we'll coordinate that. Feel free to bring your stuff. Karen, I don't know. Are you going to do face painting? You want to? Yeah, get the. Karen's done face painting there the last couple of years, and she gets more traffic than I do, but it brings people in. And I got my book. We have a discounted price. So of course last year we were handing out the CDs from my most famous sermon, and then it got kind of between Ken and Ethel. And Tony. It got a little ugly because there was who was passing out the most. So we had to settle a fight, but it turned out good. But anyway, that's next weekend. That's Friday and Saturday of next weekend. We are going to have still have our meeting here because the events don't really start there on Sunday till 1ish. But if you want to come out on Saturday and be a part of it, we'd be glad to have you. The following weekend, we're taking a trip up to Dillard House. If you've never been there, you got to go. I'm just doing those shakes right now, but I'm going to be taking a day off when we go to the Dillard House. I got to tell you, I'm going to eat some black-eyed peas and some collard greens. Can I get a witness up in here? Anyway, but you can go to bishonthennow.org and you can sign up there. We rounded it up like $30 a person. That's going to cover your transportation, your dinner, your tip, everything. So you can't beat that. And what we're doing, we're trying to find a place right now where people can leave their cars and we can get on the same bus or van or whatever. So we will have that for sure. Let you know by next. We can't do it here, or they'll boot you if you leave your car here. So we'll find a place somewhere close around here. What I'm thinking is maybe leave like 10ish on Saturday morning. We'll get up there, have lunch, sort of 1ish, and I think we just got back from Chattanooga yesterday, and on Lookout Mountain the leaves are already turning pretty good. So I'm thinking by the 18th we should hit it up there. It should be really nice and colorful, and so make your plans to be there for that. It's a great month. I love it. I think every month is my favorite month, but October, I am pretty partial to October. But anyway, I think that was everything I needed to announce, and I will say something about it again before we go. The van that we've got that we're looking for, the bus, will be like right around 30 people. So we've got about that many slots. So go ahead and get signed up. And then some of you, I think you guys maybe just driving from where you live, because you can't believe how far away Tony and Wayne live. I think y'all are as far north as Ernie and Avery are east. And so if you guys are up there, so you already know, though. I think you've been to Dillard House. You already know the way. But how many of you ever been before? It's good. It's like Mary Max on steroids. Yeah, if that tells you anything. Yeah, don't eat breakfast. But it's beautiful around there. It's close to where the Raven Gap School is, and there's lots of beautiful things to see up there. So I'm believing that it's going to be the most beautiful fall ever, and we're going to hit the leaves just exactly right that day, and it's going to be a perfect, beautiful day. And I'm kind of getting my weather mojo back. I was good at that for a while, and then I kind of lost my way, and now I've gotten where I'm like, I decree the weather, and it kind of does happen. I kind of got my confidence back. Was it Peachtree Road Race before last? Not this last one, but they were. We got up. Ken ran it with me, and we got up early and going over there, and it was raining, and I literally just said, "All right, stop it," and it stopped until we crossed the finish line, and then it started raining again. So once I heard that, I was like, got my mojo back. So anyway, good stuff. I could have heard Shantae sing one more time. I was like, I just need to order something. Is the waiter, before she sings again, can I get a glass of something? Leota says, I'll have whatever you're having. All right. We speak into this atmosphere and we say, let there be light. I have some things to share with you this month that I'm very excited about. I feel very strongly about these things. There's a verse of scripture, and we're going to get to it in a moment. It'll be the last thing that I show you. But it's a declaration from Revelation chapter 21, verse 5 is when Jesus says, "Behold, I make all things new." And we're going to be talking about that this month. I'm going to show you 3 quotes, and then we'll get to the scripture. But I've been talking about this since before we started Metron, but everything in the universe is energy. And that does not dispute anything that the Bible says. You know, the Bible writers didn't know how to maybe articulate certain things, but the truths they understood about light and words and energy and faith, all those things are being validated now by the scientific community. That's a good thing to me. That to me says the knowledge of the Lord fills all the earth as the waters cover the sea. And so if you are made up of cells and atoms, you really are basically made up of energy as well. And so what we want to talk about this month is changing reality by new reality, rather, by changing present energy. I see this theme all through the scriptures, like when Jesus said, agree with your adversary quickly when you're in the way with him. Or when in Proverbs it says a soft answer turns away wrath. Have you ever had somebody try to engage you in an argument and you just weren't on that wavelength with them? It's like you didn't want to fight with them. It's not that you couldn't fight. It's not that you were afraid of confrontation. It's not that you couldn't win an argument. It's just that you didn't want to tap into that energy. And you know, we all are creating some kind of energy field. And whatever you put out to tap into it, they're going to either link up to that energy or they're going to change the energy. So when Jesus said things like turn the other cheek or go the extra mile, basically what he's saying is before you get sucked into a certain thing with somebody, whether you call it a stronghold or whatever, you have the power. Paul said in Romans 12:21, be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. What he's saying is change the energy before someone pulls you into their vortex of negative energy. You have the power to say, no, I determine which energy field I'm going to live in, and I'm not going to get on that level. I mean, honestly, amen. Now Paul called it spirits, but I think what he was seeing is the same thing. You know, when he says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. What he was saying is don't partake of somebody else's anger, rejection, negativity. That's on them. You, in every situation, have the prerogative to either be the thermostat or the thermometer. If somebody can ruin your day, that's your fault because your day is yours. And if somebody wants to pull you into their bad day, it's your responsibility to say, I love you and I'm going to be here for you. Just like she was singing, I'm there for you. And absolutely, that's what friends are supposed to do. But being compassionate, being empathetic does not mean you have to tap into their depression, their anger, their fear, their rejection. That's them. I mean, like if somebody's sick, you can minister to their sickness without getting you don't have to get the sickness to be able to minister to them, right? You can stay detached. Like if somebody in your house has got the flu or whatever, you're going to wait on them, but you're going to wash your hands after you touch them. You're going to wash their instruments. It's not going to help them for you to say, I love you so much, I'm just going to get the flu with you and crawl up in that bed. That ain't going to help you. The last thing you need is when you're sick, is somebody's sick, being sick with you. And, it's an interesting thing that happens. Some of you are in the medical profession, and you know that people who work in hospitals, they actually get to where they're immune to sickness because they're around it so much, it builds up their antibodies. And it's the only way they can minister, because if they caught everything that everybody had, uh, there was a thing last night. Sarah Silverman hosted Saturday Night Live, and it was funny. But they did a takeoff on that movie, The Fault in Our Stars, and she was a girl that had issue. The boy thought she had cancer because in that movie these two cancer patients meet. But last night she had a Ebola, and when he heard that, he's like, "Oh, okay." So she's like trying to kiss him, and he's like 30 feet away from. It was a lot funnier. And I'm not saying that Ebola is funny, but it was I love you, but I don't want what you got. And I'm gonna hand you your medicine, but I'm gonna wash my hands after I touch what you touch. Well, if that's true physically, that's also true emotionally and spiritually, whatever. So we see this not only in the area of relationships, but when I've taught you about the man at the pool of Bethesda, how that he had been for 34 years. He was crippled, and he was trying to find when the angel would trouble the water, find somebody would put him in the water. And so when Jesus went to the man, he said, what's your problem? What's wrong with you? And the man immediately went into his story. Well, for 34 years, I've had this. The angel comes and pulls the water. I never have anybody put me in the water. And can you imagine how many times in 34 years he's told that story? And I think we all believe that Jesus is compassionate, but with some of the ways Jesus would respond to people, he didn't sound that compassionate. Jesus didn't say, "Oh, buddy, that's too bad. I'm pretty good at healing people. Let me see if I can heal you." Or let's build a ramp to see if we can get you down in the water. Or let me call an angel and see if he'll trouble water. It's nearly like Jesus didn't hear what the man said. The man said, "I've had this situation for 34 years. He was on one particular frequency. And Jesus said, "Well, take up your bed and walk." Now, if you didn't know what Jesus was saying, you would think, well, you're not compassionate to this man. He actually was. He was changing the energy. That man had been on that one frequency, there's any number of metaphors, but he'd been on that for a long time. You know how sometimes when there's something wrong with your phone or anything in your house, I know Ken can fix anything, but if I tell him something's not working, the first thing he'll say is, "Well, try unplugging it first and plug it back in," because 9 times out of 10, that'll fix it. And I don't know, I'm not an electrician. I don't understand why that is true, but I know there's a certain frequency that's coming that's not want. And so you have to change that energy. It's just like rebooting your phone or rebooting your computer. Sometimes things get frozen up or locked up or whatever, and you just have to say, "All right, I've got to change this energy." Maybe that's not the right terminology, but that's what I'm talking about. And if you're in a stronghold, have you ever had a situation in a relationship with someone that the same thing happens every time you talk to them? They say this and you say that, and there's a way they burn you and there's a way you're sarcastic back, and you've done it for so long you could nearly script it now. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, here's the part where you insult me, and here's the part where I get sarcastic back, and this is what I say. And you've done it so long, it's what the Bible calls a stronghold. But basically what it is, it's a certain energy that the two of you create together, and it will go on forever if one of you doesn't change it. Now, something happened to me yesterday that this seems like a small thing, but it's huge. I can't tell you just from yesterday how different I feel than I did 24 hours ago. We like to travel a lot and make no apology for it. And we like to take lots of pictures, make no apology for it. I told you the other day when somebody said, "Oh, it makes me tired to look at all your pictures." I said, "Really? It makes you tired to look at me standing by a waterfall? Wow. Let me check your relationship status." That sounds about right. You probably should stay single if just seeing people getting in a car and driving an hour away makes you tired. You might need to get a little more iron or something in your system. Anyway. But pretty much those people have weeded out now. And mostly what I get is, "Oh my God, I love your pictures. Y'all look so happy together." I'm like, "Thank you. These are the right people that you want to hear from. Didn't your mama ever say, if you don't have something good to say, don't say anything at all? Well, your mama was right. Uh, let's hear it for your mama. But anyway, so we like to go up to, especially in the fall. I mean, we love it. We love the fall leaves. You just love it, love it, love it. So I like to go. I like little day trips. I like something that's not like a, driving all the way to Florida or something. Something, that's the great thing about Georgia is you're right in the middle of a lot of cool places that you can be at in an hour or two, and I love that. Sometimes we spend the night. Sometimes we just go and we're back before sundown, and I love. It's like it's no fuss, no muss, easy peasy. Let's just get in the car and go and be back, and love it. We like to go to Lookout Mountain. Lookout Mountain it's ginormous. One end of it is in Chattanooga, but the other end of it is all the way down to Fort Payne, Alabama. So it takes a minute to, it's like nearly an hour drive from one end of it to the other. And I grew up on the Tennessee side of it. When I was little, my dad pastored a church outside of Chattanooga. And so my first memories were of that area. We used to go to Lookout Mountain a lot, like Rock City and Ruby Falls, all that. So the first things I remember is being around that mountain. And for years, I wouldn't go there. I used to go up and teach where Tony went to school there for a while up at New Life Bible College in Cleveland. And Cleveland's like half an hour from Chattanooga. And I used to teach up there every month. And I had a lot of downtime. I just taught classes in the morning and then at night. So I had all afternoon, for 1 week. I would go there and I would nearly feel this anxiety that would come over me when I would get to the mountain. It's like this unexplainable heaviness, oppression, kind of like fear. And I couldn't determine, like, what is that? And part of it I figured out a few years ago when I was little and we'd go to Rock City. Older people would joke with me about throwing me off C7 States, and they would bounce the swinging bridge, and it just used to scare the bejesus out of me. And I don't know why people think it's so cute to scare little kids. I mean, I don't want to sound all pitiful about it, but little kids internalize these things, and when authority figures say to you, "I'm gonna throw you off the mountain," you believe, like, well, scary adults are trying to do me in. And so in my memory, I even remember, my dad bouncing me on the swinging bridge, and I would just be like on my belly, like hanging on to it, screaming. And in my mind's eye, it was. In my memory, it was like way, way, way down there. Well, when I went back as an adult, I took my own kids there. It's not. I mean, he wasn't threatening my life, and if God forbid you fell off it, it wouldn't kill you. You might twist an ankle or something, but it's not as high as I had remembered. So I was thinking, well, that was it. I just had some memories that needed to be changed, which I did, and that's what I'm talking about, especially today, because sometimes you have internalized a memory and you don't realize how much it's like a virus on your computer. You don't realize how much it's affecting everything. And sometimes you have to go back and find, well, what is that memory? I need to change the energy on that. But what the real one was that I figured out a few years ago was there was a place, if you explore Lookout Mountain, there's some beautiful caverns like Cloudland Canyon, where water, they're like little Grand Canyons where water has eaten through rock, which that's a whole amazing thing to me, is that water is actually stronger than rock in the long run. And so there's some beautiful rock formations, and I do love Rock City and Ruby Falls and all that. It's cool. We love all that craziness. We even drove up the other day to the Lost Sea. Where was that, up in North Carolina or somewhere? Where they have the largest underground lake, and it was It's real creepy and weird, and I love it. And I love all that stuff. But there was a place kind of probably about half an hour-ish away from Rock City that was open when we lived there. It's called Lula Lake, and it's a beautiful. It's got two waterfalls, and you can see if you Google it, you can see these pictures of Civil War soldiers taking pictures out there, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's one waterfall empties into like this sort of clear emerald water, and then it goes off to another really big waterfall and huge rock formations, and it's beautiful. But apparently back in the day, it was kind of known as a dangerous place. It's like kids would go parking and stuff, and there was some crime that happened out there, and people would get robbed, and so it was in a way, it was kind of like the ghetto of Lookout Mountain. It was like beautiful, but it was also kind of dangerous. And so people would tell their kids, don't go out there to Lula Lake because it's kind of way off the road, and you have to drive back there, and it's like acres and acres of very thick woods around it. And so it just became a stronghold for negative things to happen. I don't know. My parents were very young at the time, and I don't know how much they knew about the history of Lula Lake, but it was, they definitely had heard that it was a beautiful place. So one day, and I was 4 at the time. This was 1963. It's one of it's one of the first things, like when I go back in my memory, it's it's like the first flicker of a memory that I have. And, the three of us drove up there one day, and my dad parked his car, and we walked down the mountainside to where the water is. And my dad heard a noise there was nobody else there. He heard a noise up where the car was parked. And when he started walking back to it, he saw that a man was in the midst of breaking into the car. And he stole a bunch of stuff. He stole my mom's wedding band and stuff like that. Well, anyway, my dad, always carried a gun with him. I guess he still does. Don't ever take my dad off. But so he started running toward the guy. Well, the guy turns and opens fire on us, and because he had a gun. And so I don't remember driving there. I don't remember anything other than going up a mountain, seeing my dad run up the mountain, shooting a gun. I was hearing gunshot. My mom understandably was freaking out. She's just a kid at the time. She's trying to drag me through the woods with bullets flying over our head. And so dad chases the guy. He runs down the side of the mountain, can't find him, goes back and gets the cop. And the cop actually at the police station says, that's such a bad place, I don't even want to go out there. And so he finally convinced the cop to drive back out there with him. I think, and I just got these details the other day because I asked mom and dad to walk me through it again. Because I said, my memory is pretty technicolor. So I have a tendency to embellish in my imagination. So, it would be very easy for me to think of it much more dramatically than it actually was. And honestly, I was expecting my mom to say, oh, wasn't that bad? Yeah, a guy broke in the car. But she said, oh my God, he was shooting at us. I mean, it was like way worse than what I remember. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that part. So they never found the guy. And then a few weeks later, there was a young couple that was up there that were brutally murdered. And it was like a very grisly, it was like something out of a Friday the 13th kind of thing. And after that happened, they just shut it down. It became, you couldn't even go there. I tried to go there years ago, and they had actually bulldozed the entrance to it. There wasn't even any access to it. And so then it really fell into a state of disrepair. And for decades, it became like a car graveyard. And it was just, it was like a no man's land up there. And I had heard some time ago that a land trust had bought it, and they were monitoring it, but they had cleaned it up, and they were opening it back up to hikers and that sort of thing 2 days a month, first and last Saturdays of the month. So I've been trying, I've been wanting to go up there for some time, and this is why. It's not like, I can't tell you that this is something that I've obsessed over, that I've had nightmares about or whatever, but it's the kind of thing that it happened early in life. I have a memory of it. I remember my parents talking about it a lot. And when you talk in front of your kids are absorbing a lot more than you realize. And nothing against my parents. They were doing what I'm sure I did this with my kids, but they were talking about what had happened to this young couple on the news. And, so when you hear these conversations and you have this memory that has a vibration on it that causes you anxiety. And at the time I remember being so little that I actually asked my mom, I said, is Daddy chasing a bear? Because I thought he had seen that's what my 4-year-old mind thought. And I think she said, yeah, he's chasing a bear. So I didn't even grasp of course I couldn't have. But then later over the years, as I would hear about this couple and I would go online and I would read about them, and then I would read the man that killed them. They finally found him, and it was just a few weeks after this thing had happened with us, but he got off on a technicality and was never convicted. He died last year, at the age of 76. And I just know in my spirit it was the same guy that was shooting at us. I just know that it was. And like I was reading, they have those topics things where people will do online chat. I was reading a thread that went for 3 or 4 years, and people were talking about him, how that he would sleep with his M16 because he's afraid somebody knew that he killed those kids, and because he would kind of boast about it to some of his friends. Well, that's the gun that the man shot at us with. And so I just know it's that guy. Now, again, this isn't something I think about all the time. However, when you go up on Lookout Mountain, which I've taken friends up there. I've taken all 4 of my kids up there. The main drag through there is called Little Lake Road. And so every time I would look at that sign, I couldn't help but think, those neuropaths in your brain, one thought connects to another thought. And I would think, wow, that was really scary what happened. And then the more you think about it, you think, well, wow, what would have happened? I mean, what if he had shot my dad and have just been mom and me there in the woods alone with this guy? I mean, your imagination runs wild with all of the things that could have happened. And it's the kind of thing, I don't live in fear of it, but it makes me reluctant to, like, if you go to a place and there's no other cars around, because we love nature trails, and it's a little different with us as 2 grown men, but still, if I go to some remote area, I'm reluctant to just park my car and walk miles into the woods. Because I mean, when you hear that has been in the realm of possibility, some of you are like, you ain't got to tell me, Bishop. You're preaching to the choir. Anyway, again, this isn't any big deal. I wasn't obsessed over it. We didn't talk about it all the time, but it's always been in my consciousness. And you know how anything that ever happens, you've got your story. Like if somebody ever talks about somebody breaking into a car or whatever, you're like, oh, when I was little, we went to Little Lake and the car got broken into. And so it's been, that memory has been part of my consciousness for half a century. And that's one reason I wanted to go, because I thought I want to change the energy on what I think about Little Lake. I want that area to be accessible to me. I don't want to be afraid of it. I don't want to even feel anxiety about it. And I don't want something to be in my subconscious that I'm not even aware of. Because I'm going to get a little bit more into it next week, but I've been reading a lot this week. Jackie gave me a book called, was it The Healing Codes, I think? And it's about cell memory and how that the cells in your body absorb things that you don't even realize. And I'm fascinated by it. I don't know if y'all remember, but when we were in the big building, I did a teaching one day, but I don't think I called it cell memory, but that's what I was talking about. How that when traumatic things happen to you, a lot of times you internalize them in your body and you don't even realize. And I asked everybody, I said, everybody close your eyes for a minute. I said, you're going to have to think outside the box for this. This is an abstract idea, but if you have trauma in your life and you've internalized it somewhere in your body, put your hand where the pain is, and I will pray for you. Well, that's kind of a crazy idea, because I thought people are going to look at me like, what are you talking about? 100% of the audience instinctively knew what I was talking about. When I said, put your hand where the pain is, people, they had their hands all over different parts of their body. And it really took me aback. I don't remember when I've ever presented something to the audience that they so readily got on a visceral level. They didn't intellectualize it. I just said, before you think about it, just put your hand where it hurts. And people, I mean, some people had their hands on their private parts. They had their hands on their mind, on their brain, on their heads. I was just amazed at how people automatically knew what I was talking about, even if I didn't fully know what I was talking about. So I've been thinking about this a lot, because I don't think this is difficult to deal with. Now, some of you that have a charismatic background, you might remember there was, I don't want to call it a fad, but there was a movement among charismatic Christians some 25, 30 years ago of inner healing. Right about the time that Jimmy Carter was elected, his sister, Ruth Carter Stapleton, she was an evangelist, and she kind of brought that to the forefront. And I'm not against it at all. It was kind of a thing where you would go back in your imagination and relive a memory, a negative memory, and the adult you would speak to the inner child you, whatever. And I don't think it's bad. I mean, I think a lot of people were definitely helped by it. I do think sometimes the more introspective you become, it nearly becomes a bottomless pit. It's like, I'm all for therapy, but not therapy endlessly. Like, if you need therapy, go, let it help you get through a little something. But when somebody says, I've been seeing a therapist every week for 35, 40 years, I'm like, yeah, I think you're wasting your money, because there's some things, you just got to say, right. I mean, if a therapist hasn't helped you in a decade, now I think you just need somebody to talk to, really, is what that is. And I'm not against therapy. I'm just saying, I think you need to enter it with an end in mind, to say, I want to deal with this thing, and you're a professional. You can help me. You can give me some tools to help me deal with it, but I'm not, we're not going to be sending each other Christmas cards. I mean, we're not going the distance. I mean, I believe that about the I love my doctor, but there's some things he suggested me, like, I'm not sure I'm going to do that, because like I see them in you. Oh, here's the things you offered, but I don't think I'm going to order everything on it, because I realize you're in a business too, and you got to make your money. But I don't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like, I'm all for doctors, but like I've got one prescription where I'm supposed to take it twice a day. I take it once a day. That's just it's my little way of saying I'm not going to be taking this forever, because I'm thinking, when I finish, amen. Like, when I finish getting my weight off, which I'm doing good, but when I get the rest of it off, I'm not stressed out now. So I'm thinking, I'm about ready to wean off this blood pressure medicine. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do something crazy, but I do think this was a temporary, when I got prescribed it, the doctor said, are you under any stress right now? I'm like, a little bit. Like, there were 7 things that were like the number one stress killers, and I had 6 of them all at the same time. So he said, we might need to put you on something. So I'm not suggesting you do some Ernest Angeli thing. You'll never smoke again. I'm not saying you do that. I'm just saying, know that there's some way you're going to get off it. And I'm believing that for me. Going back to yesterday, I've been trying to work out a time to revisit Lula Lake, because I want to get new information to my brain about that place. And that's why I say I think this is easier than we have thought it is. I really think all it is just recognizing reality and then changing the energy on it. To say, all right, this is the energy that I've had in thinking of this thing, and now I'm going to create a new memory, and this new memory is going to, that's the energy I'm going to tap into now. So it's taken a while to get to find the right time to do it. because I wanted to go I just wanted to go in the fall because that's when we like to go up there anyway. I didn't want to go in the hot summertime. And there's only 2 days a month that you can do it. So between working out my schedule and Ken's schedule, but there was only like a certain amount of days that I had to be able to do it. So yesterday was the day that we had decided. So we went up the night before and toured some of the other side of the mountain, and it was awesome. It was great. But then yesterday I thought, all right, today's the day. I want to go change this memory. Again, it's not like it shut me down and I can't, ever walk on the mountain again. But it is something that's been negative for as long as I could remember. Even just a little drip of a faucet, if you don't turn it off, eventually it can overflow and, rot your whole kitchen floor out. And it's just a little drip, but if it's not, you gotta manage your stuff. So one negative thought that just nags you indefinitely, it could have some negative implications for your health and you not even know it. And this is why I want to understand this thing about cell memory more. Even the other night when Joe he said, if your body, he said, I look at, what is he, 74 now? He said, if I look at a picture of me at 21, there's no cell in my body that's the same as that 21 year. I'm a completely different man. So it makes you wonder, then why would I still have some sicknesses or whatever? If the cells are being regenerated constantly, why do you still hold on to stuff? And it's got to be cell memory. I mean, it's got to be, there are things that it's because eventually, and I don't want to get in over my head on this, but what I'm understanding, even from this book that Jackie gave me, is that cell memory eventually does affect DNA, and you can actually pass it on to the next generation, which puts on a whole new spin on generational, what we used to call generational curses. The sins of the fathers, big visit on the third and fourth generation. And of course, Ezekiel 18 talks about how the father and the son are two completely different things, and what the father does has no bearing on the son. And, thank God for that, because you don't want to think all your parents' craziness is going to be yours, or that all your craziness is going to be your kids. Because, my grandmother Addie Mae said, a dog that'll bring a bone will carry a bone. So, if you've inherited crazy stuff, watch out, because you're going to possibly pass on your crazy stuff. Of course, a little bit of crazy is okay. Is my favorite line from the Designing Women is when Julia Sugarbaker, remember they were trying to put Bernice away, and she said to Bernice's niece, she said, I don't think you understand. She said, this is the South. In the South, we don't ask if you have crazy people in your family. We say, which side of the family are they on? She says, in the South, we don't hide our crazy people in the back room. We dress them up and put them in the front room and show them off. She said, the girl said, well, which side are your crazy people on? She said, both. Anyway, a little bit of crazy makes you fun at a party. Too much crazy makes you a basket case. Anyway, so again, it wasn't like this big dramatic thing, but we went there, and I was nervous. I posted about it on Facebook, but I felt really nervous about it because when you've nursed a negative memory for a long time, it's literally become part of your consciousness. And sometimes you don't want to give up a thought that you've had for a long time just because you're so accustomed to it. It's familiar. What the Bible calls familiar spirits, I really think it's just thoughts that you've maintained for a long time. And they might have been something that you bought from somebody else. Sometimes it's not even your original thought. They have put their mojo on you. So their fear has become your fear. Their paranoia has become your paranoia. And that's why you got to be careful about whoever you're emotionally vulnerable to. You will inadvertently tap into their energy. Without even realizing it, you'll take on their stuff. Have you ever suddenly realized, like, where am I getting all this drama from? This isn't my drama. This is their drama. And I'm tapped in. This isn't even my stuff. You know, sometimes when somebody's mad at somebody you're not mad at and they want you to be mad at them, whether you're like, this is y'all's drama. I'm not mad at them. I don't have an issue with them. And I'm all for, loyalty and that kind of stuff. But your stuff with them is not my thing. I got my own stuff to deal with. And some people get mad at you if you don't partake of their nasty energy. Anyway, yeah, that's right. You're not compassionate. Yeah, I'm compassionate. It's just, it's not my issue. I can hear you out, but even just me hearing this story one more time ain't gonna change anything. I can hear you one more time and say, oh, baby, you got done so bad, but it's not going to make you anything better. You've got to change the energy on it. You have to be the steward over your own life. And it feels good to get somebody to sympathize with you for a minute. It feels good to your ego or whatever, but it doesn't change anything for the better. I'm to a point now, I've had enough attention in my life. That's satisfied in me. What I want now is things that make me better. I don't need somebody to feel sorry for me. I want to well, what can make me better? And if your information is not going to make me better, I'm not sure I have time for it. I love you, but you got to work out your own salvation. Y'all are so talkative in this Pentecostal church this morning. So anyway, again, I don't want to make it some big dramatic thing, but I was, my stomach was kind of nervous, and we drove into the place, and they protect it now. It's like you have to sign in when you get there. They want to know how many people are in your party. It's only open from 9 to 5, and they've completely cleaned up the place, and it's gorgeous. It's pristine. It's probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Look, the water's gorgeous, dramatic, rock formations. It's my kind of thing. And I'm feeling it just talking about it. When we drove up, and when I got out of the car, the tears just started coming down, and I said, I don't know why I'm doing this. It wasn't like this man held me at gunpoint, but the night before last, I was up thinking about it, and I was online, and I was reading about it. And like I said, the man that killed this couple that I believe shot at us, he died about a year ago. And you know how funeral homes will put they'll put the picture of the person up and people can write stuff about it. I'd never seen a picture of him, and his picture was on there. And when I clicked on it, I was amazed. My body immediately responded to it. When I saw it, I just went, oh! And I thought, that's weird. I don't know this guy. This guy's dead. And yet my 4-year-old entity is still scared of him. And I didn't even realize that I was scared of him. Sometimes you're walking around with these fears that you don't even know you have. It always strikes me over there in Psalm 34 when David said, he says, I sought the Lord and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears. Meaning there's some things I'm afraid of that I don't even know I'm afraid of. And I don't even know if I do know I'm afraid of it, I don't even know why I'm afraid of it. So anyway, we get out, and it was such a symbolic day to me, because it was cloudy and overcast the day before. Yesterday, it was like this. It was just to me, it was like the universe saying, welcome to your new reality that you're going to create in this beautiful place. Well, I get out and there's cars everywhere. So automatically it's just before I even got to the falls, it already was different, because I don't feel like some abandoned thing with my young parents and the 4-year-old me out in the woods somewhere with some crazy man shooting at us. This is like there's kids everywhere and people, families with strollers and people carrying babies and people are laughing and stuff. And when I signed in, the guy said, "Have you ever been to Little Lake before?" And I wanted to go, "Yes, I have, in 1963. And I thought, no. I said, "Yeah, I was here about 50 years ago." I didn't even want to tell that story again. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not even, I'm laying that down as of today. So we walk and it's just beautiful, and we hiked all over the place and hiked up the mountain, and there was a couple of times, because after having read about these murders, you can't help but think, is this where it happened? Is this the tree he tied him to or whatever? But I got past it, and now, like, we spent this beautiful day full of happy people. Nobody was being shot. There was no crime. It was clean. It was beautiful. It was safe. Even as I was tweeting or writing about it, my mom read what I'd posted, and she says, "No, I vividly remember that day, and God really spared us." And I said, "It's amazing. I just got your comment just as we walked up to the falls." And what's really interesting, I was talking to Avery about it on the phone last night, and she had just been reading something that she said, sometimes when you change a memory like that, it's like taking a piece of glass out of your foot or something. You don't even realize that it's causing you not to walk correctly. And I can't explain it, but it's like if you go to my Facebook page, my cover picture and my profile picture are both from Lula Lake. I would have never thought that I would have used that as a picture of happiness. And people were writing there, "Oh, you look so happy in this picture." And I thought, thank you. Yes. That's not the only reason I'm happy, but yes, it was like I didn't go to a geographical location yesterday. I went back to a memory. I went back to a place. I got new information. I replaced the old information. So now if you ask me, "Have you ever been to Lula Lake?" I can say, "Oh yeah, it's beautiful. They only open it first and last Saturdays of the month. But if you get a chance, if you like, really nice in the fall." And that's completely new information. Ask me that a year ago, I would have said, "Oh, you can't go there. And it's just as good you can't, because something bad will happen if you go there." And it's amazing how we attach energy to things and don't even realize that we're partaking of that energy. So I'm going to show you my quotes here, and we're going to leave it here. But next Sunday, I want to get more into cell memory and this kind of thing. And don't be afraid of it. It's really, I wasn't rolling on the ground screaming. My head didn't turn 180 degrees. There's no crazy, nutty stuff that went on. It was just like, all right, this is what I thought before. Now this is what I think now. And it became not just about Lula Lake yesterday. To me, it was symbolic of, this is how you're going to show other people that they can change their life. That you can have, because who knows, like poverty, failure, all these things, you have no idea. They might be connected to some weird energy that somebody put in you early on, and you're so used to it, you don't even realize that you're working out of that reality. It's just in your hard drive. And you don't have to go to, I'm going to save you thousands of dollars. You don't have to go to a therapist for this. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. It's a matter of just recognizing and saying, "Okay, I did think that. Now I'm going to think this." First quote is by, I think it's Aristotle. Is it? Aristotle, Ancient Wisdom. If Aristotle said it, society has pretty much decided, yeah, that's quotable. And Aristotle says the energy of the mind is the essence of life. Well, Bishop, what does the Bible say? Well, okay. Romans 12:1 says, "Be not conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." If you need scripture for that, it's the same thing. It's the knowledge is everything is, it's not about what's going on in your spirit as much as it is what's going on in your mind. You know how I've said to you for years, we don't really hear each other. I hear what you say, but it's filtered through this labyrinth of all my life experiences and my prejudices and my, whatever. So I'm not really just hearing you. That's why sometimes you can say something to somebody and they have this reaction that you're like, where did that come from? Why did you react that way? Because they didn't hear what you said. They heard what somebody else said to them, that the energy on your voice triggered that in their mind. The next quote is by another ancient wisdom, Socrates. And he said, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. That's worth you coming out just to hear that. You can't stop thinking a negative thought. You have to replace it with something different. You can't turn off, change it. Third quote is by Albert Einstein. And he says, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. I believe that's true. I mean, he's speaking from the viewpoint of a physicist, but the truth of it is applicable to what I'm talking about here. I mean, really, we used to say fear is the opposite of faith, but it really is all faith. It's just how you interpret the energy. Everybody calls those things which are not as though they are. Some people do it in the positive, some people do it in the negative, but it's all faith. It's like any of you people from the faith movement, you remember Charles Capp's book, The Tongue of Creative Force, and he talked about a couple that had a cruise planned months ahead, and they had kids, and the wife kept saying, I want to go on this cruise, but I just know the day we leave, one of these kids are going to come down sick and we're not going to be able to go. Well, the day of the cruise, one of their kids comes down sick. They have to cancel the meeting. Well, you could say that was fear, but actually she was exercising faith. It was faith in the negative. It was, I have faith to believe that this negative thing is going to happen. And so it's just a matter of, here's the energy. I'm going to use it. Like, I don't want to not be able to go. I may never go back to Lulu Lake again, but I don't want to not be able to go there because I have some weird feeling about it. I don't want any place to be off limits to me. I don't want any relationship to be off limits to me. I don't, that's why when I see somebody that the vibration on it, like, hey, your awkwardness is your issue. I'm glad to see you. Come here, give me a hug, whatever. That's empowering to say, I'm not going to tap into your awkwardness. Whatever nasty stuff you said about me, that's on you. It's not even true. I don't even believe it. Whatever you said about me it's not my truth. So you've got to work out what you think about that. I believe I'm awesome. And if you don't know that, then I can't get into your crazy vortex of thinking stuff about me, because that's not who I am. I mean, Jesus didn't run around chasing the Pharisees going, you guys, please stop saying mean stuff about me. Stop it. I really am the Son of God. I mean, he just gave it right back to him. Like, oh, really? I'm that? Okay, well, you're snakes and vipers, whatever. And it's like he just never got pulled into their energy field. Man, I love that. When you can say, I'm not dancing to your music. And really, it's like, what I said about Shantae singing and creating an atmosphere. That's energy. That's why sometimes, you can hear up music and immediately you created a certain energy and you're feeling. That's why football teams have fight songs and that kind of stuff, because you're creating a certain energy that is going to be translated into a victory somewhere. By the same token, laid back music's going to make you feel, everything, lighting, all of it affects energy. So instead of trying to turn off something negative, turn it into, all right, well, how can I change this energy? So now it's part of my energy field and everything's coming out of my heart are the issues of life. And then finally, this is Revelation 21:5, and this is from the Jonathan Mitchell New Testament. Man, this stuff made me want to shout when I read it. Verse 5 says, and then the one, or he who is continuously sitting upon the throne said, consider this. This is where the King James says, behold, consider this. I am presently making all things new, or habitually creating everything to be new and fresh, progressively forming the whole anew. Or reading Panta, P-A-N-T-A, that's a Greek word that means the all, or the whole, or the entirety. As masculine, that's what the word mankind is used in ancient writing. Periodically making all humanity new, progressively creating every person anew, constantly constructing all people fresh and new, continuously renewing everyone. He says it every possible way. Next, he is saying to me, write, because these words are dependable or faithful ones and true ones, full of faith and reality. There's so much hope, so much promise in that verse of scripture. He's making all things new. You are not stuck. Your relationship is not stuck. You do not have to stay where you are mentally, emotionally, physically. Anything is possible. Anything can change. It's all just a matter of changing the cells, changing the thoughts, changing the words, changing the energy. It's flipping a switch on or off. And this time next month, we're going to be in a very different place than we are right now. Amen. Let's all stand. I'm going to come back and have a prayer over all the cells in your body and speak a blessing over you for the new week. But if you're contributing, and thank you for those of you that are contributing, I appreciate it. That's how we do what we do. And if you're making a check, that's fine. Make it to JESM, and Danny will be back there at the back to get that from you. If you have cash to give, I want you to bless one another with that. Just pay it forward. I'm going to show you the little video again of how you can do it online. And we just finally passed that mark where more people are doing it online than not. So that's good. We're moving in the right direction. Let me show it to you one more time and just remain standing.
Contributing at Metron is quick and easy. Simply text the amount you'd like to contribute to 404-620-5044. Once you've sent the amount you'd like to give, you will receive a link. Clicking the link will take you to a one-time registration form. This will make the contribution process even easier in the future. Once you've filled out the information form, you will then see a successful registration and donation page. You can now give anytime by simply texting an amount to this number. To set up recurring contributions, log on to visionthenow.com and click Simple Give. We have more information on how to do this available for you in the back of the room. Thank you for your investment in Metron.
And thank you again for that. Hey, you like this, what I'm talking about this month? It's cool, isn't it? And I don't know, just from that tweaking that little thing yesterday about changing the energy of that memory, I don't know what ramifications it will have in the future. But I know today I just felt, and I felt good yesterday, but today I just felt better. It's like something is out of me that needed to get out of me. And I don't know, it's awesome. And I think you probably all have something or things in your life that you can relate to as well. I speak life and light into every cell of your body. As in the beginning, the Spirit of God was vibrating over the face of the deep, God's word is still vibrating over you. His word does not return void. It prospers in the thing whereunto it is sent. I speak life to you. And as we open up this area of study, as we pull back this curtain, I call you into revelation. I call you into enlightenment, even in your own mind, your own thought, your own journey, your own memories. I bless your memories. I bless your ability to change the energy on anything that has caused you to be sick or less than your potential. And I call you into a place of faith. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look. Don't be afraid to face it. Don't be afraid to deal with it. All things are possible, and you are safe, and you are loved, and you are at peace. Because you've come today, you've set your week in motion. It's going to be a good week. It's going to be a prosperous week. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And you're blessed when you come in, and you're blessed when you go out. You're going to have a beautiful day today. You're going to get a good night's sleep. You're going to wake up tomorrow refreshed. It is well with your spirit. It is well with your soul. It is well with your body. You have favor with God and man. And you wake up tomorrow saying, this is the day that the Lord and I are making together. God bless you. Go in peace. Love you so much. Don't forget, go to bishofthenow.org. Sign up for Dillard House. Is that right? .com, bishofthenow.com. Sign